Good morning, everyone. I'm David Wood, board chair of the world-famous West Hollywood Chamber of Commerce, chamber of creativity, innovation, and a sense of humor. Welcome to State of the City 2023. We have a terrific program for you today. We're hoping to get you out of here by 1 o'clock, but the four-hour tribute to Jason Alulian might delay you, so that's the way it is. But that's just one part of our morning. Today is all about small business because even Jason started out as a small business. Small businesses are the character, personality, and fabric of our community. Did I hit all the cliches there? I hope I did. So, as much as we love our pavilions, our Starbucks, and our US banks, all chamber members, it's our soulmates, block parties and carnies, also chamber members, that make our city memorable for residents and visitors alike. As a small business owner myself, we are farmers. Inside joke. I know the challenges of ever-increasing labor, rent, and regulatory costs. Not that we'll solve these problems today, but we'll kick around some great ideas with our expert panelists led by our own Cherie Franklin. We'll also hear from our mayor, Seppi Shine, as well as our city manager, David Wilson. But before we start our program, let's have a few hundred introductions here. Let's start with our chamber board members and board of governors. Please stand and be acknowledged. Now let's acknowledge our elected officials from the city of West Hollywood. Mayor Seppi Shine. I would introduce Mayor Pro Tem John Erickson, but he's in absentia, so he'll be back sometime. Council members Lauren Meister, Chelsea Byers, and I don't see John Heilman, but if he were here, I would acknowledge him also. From Senator Ben Allen's office, Davis Hahn. Davis. From County Supervisor Lindsay Horvath's office, Amanda and Austin Sear. And from Assembly Member Rick Zabur's office, Rick Zabur. Thank you. Now our non-elected officials who keep the wheels on the train day after day. City Manager David Wilson and his two right hands, Oscar Delgado and Jackie Rocco. Our Economic Development Department, Laura Fiery Byrie. Taylor Coyne, as in nickels and dimes. And anyone else? That's it? Good. And we can't forget our Sheriff's Department to keep us safe. Representing us this morning, our Captain Bill Mulder and his staff. I'd also like to acknowledge our West Hollywood Chamber of Commerce staff, CFO John Goddard, Program Manager Nolani Santiago, and Membership and Marketing Manager Jamie Wilson. From West Hollywood Travel and Tourism, World Traveler Mr. Tom Keeley. Also our newest addition to the team, West Hollywood Design District Executive Director Greg Rang. And lastly, I want to acknowledge the work of our 501c3 Small Business Foundation. Could our chair, Julian Tucker, our program manager, Nolani Santiago, and any other foundation board members to please stand up. I think I've mentioned everybody in this room. If I haven't mentioned your name, please stand up and give yourself a hand. All right. Now you're probably sick of me, 7 minutes into the presentation, so it's my pleasure to introduce you to the loudest woman in West Hollywood, our executive director of the West Hollywood Chamber of Commerce, my real boss and my real friend, Genevieve Moore.
Okay, good afternoon, or is it still morning? Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Eddie. I saw you here. All right, so we're going to get started with some thanks. I just really want to welcome you to the fabulous One Hotel. Let's give all the staff a big round of applause. And where's Shadi? Shadi, back there. Don't you ever see Shadi in your own hotel?
I'm working.
Anyway, thank you, Shadi. They've been amazingly generous. And I just really want to, this event is, every year Chambers of Commerce around the country host states of the city. And this is ours, and it's been in existence for a long time. I don't think the 102 years, but it's been around for a while. And we do this event in partnership with our city partners, so we thank them for everything that they do. Our council, the staff, Danny Rivas, Public Safety, our economic team that David Wood already mentioned, everyone in planning, building and safety. I work with all of them, the homeless initiative, we work with everyone. We also want to acknowledge Eric from the Planning Commission here with us today. Of course, we got the welcome surprise of Assembly Members of Burr joining us. Thank you. This state of the city has been pretty much the same year after year, and so we started to do themes because it was always healthy, vibrant, and thriving. We had the same report over and over again from the city manager every year. So it didn't change much, but with this big disruption of a pandemic and political and social pressures, they've changed not just the economic landscape, but the culture of how we work, how we spend, how we shop and do business and play in West Hollywood. And today's program will look at how we can attract and sustain the small business community in this new environment. And we provided some building blocks for you to build your own little city of small businesses at your table. And any of you with children are welcome to take those home. And I think there's a bag under the table for you to put them in. Otherwise, all of them will be donated to a children's charity. So for a good cause. We're also celebrating two amazing people today. The late Ed Levin, who will forever be remembered in West Hollywood, and Jason Alulian, a trailblazer in his own right, an award named in Ed's honor, and having an award named in his honor. My history in West Hollywood has always included an Alulian or two. The Chamber operates with the most incredible team, starting with our program manager, Nalani Santiago, our membership and marketing manager, Jamie Wilson, and John Baptiste Godard, our company CFO and owner of Diamante Management Accounting Team. I know that it was already, there he is in the back, if you want to hire a great accountant. He's been with us since 1999, fantastic. Couple updates, we just finished a major renovation at the office. We're tweaking things. I don't know if Jack is in the room with Inspired Closet. Jack, are you here? Anyway, we just finished that renovation. And then another update is that Centennial book that I've been droning on about for 2 years, I thank all of you who helped sponsor it, is actually going to be ready for the holidays. Oops, where'd it go? Oh, there it is. I'm sorry, I forgot you were doing that for me. Great. Greg Ferlat is the author, and I'd love Greg to stand up and take a bow. And this is really an exciting book. That cover you see is a never-before-seen Marilyn Monroe with her coach at a club in, which club? The Macabo in West Hollywood. And this book has really never-before-seen images. Greg was able to get them by promising never to put them on the internet. So it's in a coffee table book. We hope it to be in every hotel in West Hollywood. I don't know if you knew there was a mother of West Hollywood. We found her, she was a suffragette, and we found her bio, her obituary, from 1947, and she helped move Plummer's home from when it was going to be destroyed from Plummer Park and moved it to Calabasas to save it. And she also combined the La Brea Chamber with the West Hollywood Chamber back in the 1920s, and was a mover and a shaker in this town. Who knew, right? Mother of West Hollywood dies, 1947 is what we found. Greg found. Thank you, Greg. I think our board, I want to thank our board and the trust they have in our team in providing support we need to implement their vision for our business community. And our chair, my liege, in his 6 short months, keeps me laughing. You've taken up the mantle and been a true leader for this chamber, its membership, the board, and the team, and we thank you. Today is made possible by the generosity of all you in the room. We are funded by membership and by these 3 events we have each year: annual meeting and member board installation, the State of the City, and Creative Business Awards, which is in November, I think November 15th this year. We first and foremost want to thank our city partners, City of West Hollywood, for partnering with us. We want to thank our award sponsors today: CIM Group, Orange Barrel Media, Springboard Hospitality, and our advocate sponsors: Fairine, Cedar Sinai, Netflix, and Sunset Marquee. And our friends of the Chamber: Athens, Beverly Center, Greater LA Realtors, McDonald's, Silver Creek, West Hollywood Design District, and the West Hollywood Travel and Tourism Board. Thank you all. We always like to say today was produced by Chamber members, and none other than the One Hotel here. And we want to thank again Shadi Omesh and Annette Keller and their AV company Encore Global. Running the show in the back there is Andreas and his team, Austin. Our graphic guru, Ruben Esparza, and Red Studios made all the beautiful graphics you see. And Apollo Murilla is our photographer back there, and he also is owner of WeHo Times, so we get a double hit. We get photographs and we get a media, so that's great. Choose your photographer well. And I know there's other press in the room. And finally, it's my great pleasure and enormous gratitude that we welcome to the stage, and my apologies that I forgot it in the run of the show, in your program, but U.S. Bank is everywhere. They've been our sponsor, and we have enormous gratitude for them. So U.S. Bank, and please help me welcome to the stage Rahel Cook, our CFO of the Chamber Board, and U.S. Bank representative.
Good morning, everyone. So nice to see a full room. I'm still getting used to it after being away from COVID, so good to see all of you. First, I'd like to thank the West Hollywood Chamber staff, board, and City of West Hollywood for this opportunity to support honoring this year's award recipient and to be a part of this civic and economic discussion. It is a pleasure to be here today speaking to you as not just a private wealth advisor for U.S. Bank, but also as the West Hollywood Chamber of Commerce CFO. U.S. Bank and the Chamber have a long-standing relationship. Together, we are committed to the businesses and professional leaders that work to promote the commercial and economic growth of this incredible city. Jointly with the Chamber, U.S. Bank actively strives to foster city improvements that benefit all who live, work, and visit our beloved West Hollywood. In recent news, U.S. Bank announced and acquired Union Bank. Fully in effect, Memorial Day weekend, the acquisition brought together 2 premier organizations with a focus on being the leader and serving customers and communities in Washington, Oregon, and in California. This provides benefits for all served through improved technology, product offerings, and customer choice. The merger is not only of businesses, but of people. U.S. Bank strongly believes the future of banking includes a combination of the digital and physical world. Both do it yourself and do it together. Customers appreciate the opportunity to visit their local branch or engage with professionals within their local communities, like right here in West Hollywood, to have meaningful conversations about their financial goals, future, and aspirations. I am proud to say that all frontline Union Bank employees have been retained. We have one very important one with us today. Edwin Lopez is the branch manager of the newly located West Hollywood branch on Santa Monica and Westbourne. Along with our Legacy U.S. Bank District Manager, Sharzad Panahi, Legacy Branch Manager, Antoine Revelle, And a combined team of specialists, we are committed to the people of West Hollywood on being a trusted resource for financial guidance, volunteerism, and by continuing our partnership with the West Hollywood Chamber of Commerce. Thank you so much. Really? Oh my gosh, well, no one told me. I have the distinct pleasure to introduce Mayor Shine.
When I got involved with the city, I didn't have to wear glasses, but now I do, so please bear with me. Good afternoon, everyone. It is an honor to have the opportunity to provide remarks this afternoon at our annual State of the City event. The City of West Hollywood continues to thrive following a multi-year public health emergency that was finally lifted earlier this year. The city continues to lean on its core values since incorporation. These values have always remained consistent and have guided us as we keep moving forward. Our core values play an essential role into the delivery of service we provide at the city level to the community now and in the future. These core values are respect and support for people, responsiveness to the public, idealism, creativity, and innovation, quality of residential life, promoting economic development, public safety, responsibility for the environment. In line with these core values, the city will continue to focus on the current housing and homeless crisis and provide much-needed behavioral health resources to community members. These are truly the challenges of our time in California and in cities across our nation. Here in Los Angeles County, West Hollywood is proud of our leadership on these issues. Earlier this year, the city acquired the Holloway Motel property located at 8465 Santa Monica Boulevard, which will operate as a Holloway interim housing program to provide comprehensive services and a supportive space for people experiencing homelessness to transition into stable housing. We will also continue our efforts to support the development of affordable housing throughout the city. In addition, the city is moving forward to launch our West Hollywood Care Teams, which will provide behavioral health crisis response to both housed and unhoused people in West Hollywood and our community members. The care team will be the mobile responder for people who call the 988 suicide and crisis hotline for counseling services and needed in-person support within city limits. The care team will complement and enhance the city's existing investments in contracted social service partners and services provided by the Los Angeles County Department of Mental Health, the LA County Sheriff's Department, the LA County Fire Department, and block-by-block security ambassadors. It is an honor to serve as mayor of the city of West Hollywood. West Hollywood is a unique city, a small community with a diverse population of approximately 35,000 residents, an international tourism destination, and the location of many entertainment, design, technology, and hospitality-based businesses. The city is also known as being one of the most outspoken cities in the nation in advocating for the legal rights and equity for LGBTQ+ people, with more than 40% of our residents identifying as lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or queer. Following my remarks, you will be hearing from our city manager, David Wilson, who will provide a financial picture of how the city and our businesses are doing. I did want to share some updates as it relates to economic development. I'm happy to report that the City of West Hollywood is bringing forward a citywide economic study to identify key opportunities to expand the city's economic base. A critical element of this study is focused on attracting and retaining businesses, including support for small business and minority-owned businesses. The consultant selected to conduct this study will also provide guidance on the creation of our Business Recovery Task Force. This task force will serve as a bridge between the business community and the City of West Hollywood to facilitate the sharing of ideas to create new opportunities for business success, recovery, and diversification. This group will also provide recommendations on further recovery from the economic impacts of COVID-19, as well as business retention. I look forward to continuing to work with the Chamber until then to ensure the recovery and success of our businesses are prioritized. And I also want to thank the Chamber of Commerce for years having the State of the City event, the entire Board of Directors, Genevieve, and I want to, Ed Levin was an extraordinary member of this community. So may he rest in peace. We all miss him very much. And Jason, congratulations on your award today. As a fellow Iranian American, I'm very proud that you're receiving this award and for all that you've done for the city. Now, while we wait for this work to begin, last month, I initiated a council directive to host a small business summit in partnership with State Treasurer Fiona Ma's office. The summit will take place this fall and will focus on available resources for businesses at the state level. I know that it can be challenging finding a time that works for everyone. As a result, the summit will be held in person and will also be recorded and available on the city's YouTube channel. More information will be provided to the West Hollywood Chamber, as well as posted on the city's website once the date is confirmed. I'm also excited for the work that our newly formed Social Justice Advisory Board will do. West Hollywood is proudly diverse. Thank you. West Hollywood is proudly diverse and continues to hold the spirit of activism and civic pride. Myself and now Supervisor Lindsay Horvath initiated the Social Justice Task Force to create more equity in West Hollywood. The City Council approved an action plan and set of recommendations proposed by the Social Justice Task Force, and we look forward to seeing how the newly formed Social Justice Advisory Board will work with staff in implementing these recommendations. And I want to acknowledge my Social Justice Task Force board member and Arts and Cultural Affairs Commissioner Mito Aviles that is also here today. The recommendations focus on various sectors, including economic and community development, housing and affordability, social services, and community safety. One of the recommendations includes exploration of a business incubator program marketed primarily to BIPOC entrepreneurs and business owners. Others encourage collaboration and partnership with public agencies and private businesses to increase funding to affordable housing projects, expanding distribution of social services, and encouraging ongoing conversations and engagement between our Sheriff's Department and West Hollywood residents and community members. Finally, since it's still June, I would like to wish everyone a happy Pride Month. I hope you enjoyed this year's month-long Pride events, and in the spirit of Stonewall, today is the day that the Stonewall uprising happened. And even though we are in 2023, the LGBTQ community continues to face unprecedented attacks nationwide, and we've even had neo-Nazis come to West Hollywood just last month and demonstrate against Drag Story Happy Hour. So I am so proud of our city for being on the right side of history when we were incorporated and still standing with our LGBTQ+ community. And thank you to all the businesses who have been our allies and with us for years and years. As we start approaching fall, I want to also make sure you are aware that the city is excited to be hosting a Halloween event this year again. Prior to the city making the decision to host a Halloween event, we wanted to hear from the business community. Thank you to the 211 businesses that took part in a survey in March. The survey was very telling and revealed that 56% of respondents believe Halloween events are extremely important to the overall economic health of West Hollywood. And overwhelmingly, 77% of respondents believe Halloween contributes positively to the city of West Hollywood's brand and reputation. We are excited to continue the legacy of being home to one of the largest annual outdoor Halloween events in the country, which draws thousands of people and is a large contributor of economic development to our businesses. I want to thank you to each and every one of you that are gathered here this afternoon. Thank you for continuing to contribute to the fabric of West Hollywood in new and remarkable ways. Your innovation and commitment help West Hollywood live up to our nickname as the Creative City. Please know that myself and my colleagues on the City Council are available if you have any questions or any feedback. We are your partners in the city, and our contact information can be found on the city's website, and we may be contacted collectively by emailing council@weho.org. Enjoy the rest of the program.
David Wilson, City Manager.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. At the West Hollywood Chamber of Commerce, all of our distinguished guests, and our community members, as well as our elected officials that are here today. And I also want to acknowledge all the appointed commissioners and advisory board members that have joined us today for this event. So thank you all for attending. It's an honor to stand here before you as city manager of the city of West Hollywood for this State of the Community event. First and foremost, I do want to thank Genevieve Morrow for all the hard work that she does for this chamber and the entire West Hollywood community. Discussions over the last couple of years, and my guess is we may have a couple more before the end of this event, unless I run out as soon as I get off the stage. But I know Genevieve is passionate about the business community and the city as a whole, and so thank you for all you do. And thank you to you also, David Wood, for your work as chair of the chamber. And I know we are running a little late, but luckily Mayor Stein and I didn't look at each other's slides, so she covered most of what I was going to cover, so we may catch up a few minutes here. But before we do go on, I do want to acknowledge one last group, the city staff, those that are here today and those that so I'm going to provide a brief overview of the city's fiscal year 23-24 budget, the current economic environment from the city's perspective, and fostering economic vitality. The city has a general fund, but has an overall budget of about $200 million, all funds combined. But we generally look more specifically at the general fund, because that's where most of our taxes and fees go, and the services that the city provides to the community comes from the general fund. And so, I guess I got ahead of myself on the slide, but just looking here, this shows the city's general fund. The city, over the city's history, and certainly the past 2 decades, the city has experienced significant revenue growth. The impacts of COVID-19, the pandemic, had a substantial negative impact on the city's revenue, as it did with most businesses during fiscal year 2020 and 2021. We saw revenues decline in both of those years, and the expenditures exceeded revenues, so we had deficits in each of those years. During that time, the city implemented new revenue sources and cut expenditures where we could, while still providing much of the much-needed services that the West Hollywood community deserves. And with prudent financial management and a little luck, the city recovered fairly quickly, and much quickly than most other jurisdictions. We saw an increase to $135 million in revenue in fiscal year 2023, and that does not include federal and state reimbursements for COVID-related losses. And then that increased to $140 million in fiscal year 2024, and we are projecting an increase to over $150 million in revenue in our currently adopted fiscal year 2022-23 budget. I'm sorry, 23-24 budget. That is the most in the city's history, and we've balanced those revenues with additional enhanced services for the West Hollywood community. So just going back one slide, our budget does focus on 4 specific areas. It's financial stability, community safety and well-being, community service, and infrastructure development. And the budget was adopted Monday night by the city council, and I thank them for not adopting it on Tuesday morning and having a very efficient meeting. And so we are set to move forward with this year's budget. So just looking at some of the major revenue and expenditure categories for the city's budget. On the revenue side, the city gets over 70% of its revenue, its general fund revenue, from taxes. For over the last couple of decades, transient occupancy tax or hotel tax has been our major source of revenue. That's been replaced with sales tax. During the early part of COVID in 2020, the voters approved the sales tax increase of 3.75%. That increase was approved during COVID, but it wasn't specifically just for the COVID recovery. We looked at that increase as providing both a long-term source of revenue for the city during economic downturns, as well as if the city didn't pass that increase in sales tax, other jurisdictions, local jurisdictions like Metro or the county could have, and those dollars were going outside of the city of West Hollywood. So it keeps those extra sales tax revenues in the city, and we have seen significant growth for that. West Hollywood still depends heavily on the tourism industry to provide a significant portion of its municipal revenues. The city anticipates ongoing strength in hotel rates and stability in occupancies. The room rates reflect a gradual shift in West Hollywood hotel brands to higher end products and services, and their competitive strength with the regional Los Angeles hotel market. So the city will work closely with Visit West Hollywood to ensure that all of West Hollywood's businesses benefit from major sporting events coming to the Los Angeles region, such as the Olympics and the FIFA World Cup in the coming years. And then the other major source is property tax. The city continues to have strong property tax, and it's grown every year consistently. And so the city is still a desirable location. As the realtors say, it's location, location, location. And then lastly, on the revenue side, it's a fairly new revenue source. It's digital media and advertising. As most of you know, the city has a Sunset Arts and Advertising program in which the city is partnering with some of the property owners and advertisers to provide digital billboards, and that will help reinvigorate the Sunset Strip, as well as provide more opportunities to attract visitors interested in visual displays of art and information. And so we're seeing a growing source of revenue from there, as well as the city has implemented digital bus shelters throughout the city, and those additional revenues, those shelters provide additional revenues from advertising as well as provide a space for public service announcements and information to community members. On the expenditure side, and I know that right off the bat, y'all are less interested in the expenditure side, or at least you should be, so I will run through that quickly. But as a contract city, most of the city's, a large portion of the city's expenditures go towards contract service. Contract services, our largest contract being the Sheriff's Department. And so I do want to thank Captain Bill Mulder and his team for all they do for the city. The next largest source goes towards wages and benefits. We do not provide a product. We don't have widgets. The city's product is a service to the community, and we need people for that. And the city of West Hollywood has an excellent staff, and I put them against any municipal government. And so having that staff do that work is an important part of the city's expenditures. And then we have special projects and city events. And as the mayor said, we are bringing Halloween back this year. The council approved as part of the budget funding to close Santa Monica from La Cienega to Doheny, and so we're in the process of planning what Halloween will look like this year. And these are just some of the expenditures, and I won't go through them all, but community safety and well-being is one of the primary functions and one of the primary goals of the city during this time. As most of you know, during this budget, we have brought back some of the sheriff's deputies. We brought back the entertainment policing team sergeant, as well as an additional deputy and 2 non-sworn community safety and public information type positions. Additionally, the council will look at adding an additional deputy in December when they have their semi-annual community safety update. We're also looking at increasing technology related to safety. We've added 39 ALPR cameras during the last budget cycle, so basically every entrance and exit into the city is being covered through that. We'll be looking this summer at having drones and stationary surveillance type cameras in the public right of way, as well as enhancements to the city's facilities such as the council chambers. In the area of the security ambassadors, we are continuing that program. It provides 85 sets of additional eyes on the streets, in addition to the work that the Sheriff's Department does. In the area of neighborhood and business safety, we are continuing our code compliance programs. Our code compliance, they do emphasize compliance. They seek compliance first, and if there isn't compliance, then they move towards enforcement. And then we're continuing to do some of the social services that the mayor talked about. Through our social services contracts, we provide funding for the city's outreach programs for homeless outreach, and we're starting the new behavioral crisis units that the mayor spoke of earlier. Just looking quickly at these are some of the services that we provide when it comes to community service. And I won't go through them because I actually can't see them from here. But these are really all the various services that the city has. And then some of the major projects, and again, I won't go through them all, but I do want to take the opportunity to thank Assembly Member Saber for helping with the log cabin project. As part of the state budget, we provided $500,000 or included $500,000 towards improvements for the log cabin, as well as State Senator Ben Allen with another $600,000, so for a total of $1.1 million. So hopefully that budget is signed. We're also seeking other federal and local money for that project. And I think the mayor talked about the Holloway project, so that's the other major one there. And I won't talk about the design district, but I know it's impacting many of you. And so that project continues on and should be completed in the next couple of years. So just briefly talking about the economic environment. So at, I'm sorry. The city does continue to monitor state and national indicators and plan on how we respond to changes in the economic environment. As many of you may remember, just months ago, there was talks about the debt ceiling negotiations, and it feels like years ago, but it was actually just months ago. With that, although that was resolved, there still is national level type things that impact the city. There's an ongoing war in the Ukraine, which the U.S. is involved in or not involved in, just changes day from day. We're also seeing state level changes where with the budget just a month ago, there was a $32 billion deficit. I know that is not in the current plan, but it's still yet to be seen how that's dealt with when the budget is, the state budget is adopted. So we continue to monitor those things on the state and national level, but we also know that businesses are being impacted on the local level. We did receive a letter from Genevieve, from some of the businesses, many of you today that signed on to that letter. We are looking at those requests and recommendations, and we'll be working with the business community on some of those requests. Just lastly, related, the minimum wage does go into effect on July 1, the next increase. I know that does impact a lot of your businesses as well. There are still an opportunity to get waivers of the minimum wage rate. So you can please contact business@weho.org if you think you may qualify for a waiver. And then when it comes to development projects, those are certainly an indicator of how the economy is doing. Because of the size of the financing that they get for those projects, we often see sooner from those projects kind of an indicator of the economy going forward. And we're certainly not raising any red flags at this time, but we are hearing that some projects aren't moving as well as they've had in the past. And so it's something that the city certainly wants to work with private development on. And certainly any projects that are approved and permitted, it's in the city's interest for those to get completed. So we definitely want to work with the development community on those type of projects. And I do want to take this opportunity to congratulate Jason Lillian on his award, And again, if there's any projects that you have approved and permitted, we are happy to work with you to move those forward. You know how to reach me. We talked about the Sunset Arts and Advertising Program, so I won't mention that again. It looks like they shut me off, so that's it. Economic vitality. I just want to mention our economic development department one more time. Laura Byrie, who stood up earlier, our economic development director. As well as her team with the business development team and the arts team and the property development team. They're all working together on a lot of the projects that impact the business community. So definitely reach out to Laura and anyone on her team as things come up. And with that, I will end it because I know we're running late. I do want to do one last thing before I end it. I guess I should have said that. But most of you know that two of our long-term employees are retiring in the next few months. John Keogh, our Planning and Development Services Director, is retiring at the end of July. And Oscar Delgado, our Assistant City Manager, is retiring in September. Both of those are going to be a big loss for the city, but I just want to take this opportunity to thank them for their hard work and all they've done. Thank you, and thank you all again.
Is John Keogh in the room? There he is. Hey, John, I didn't see you earlier, but yeah, I just wanted to say a shout out to John Keogh and Oscar Delgado. Thanks for reminding us, David, of that. We really are gonna miss you guys. You've been amazing, and Oscar picks up the phone. I don't know why you still pick up the phone when I call and text, but I appreciate you. And John Keogh won't give me his cell phone number. He's smart man. And I just want to thank Councilmember Heilman again. He wasn't in the room when I thanked him for everything he's doing to help us with small business and the item that was on the council agenda last night. I'm going to bring back up David Wood. We're here for the big show, the big honoring now, and I'm going to bring back up our chair, Woody. David Wood.
Well, as we come up on dinner time, thank you for your patience. It is my distinct pleasure as board chair to present the very first annual Ed Levin Award for Design Excellence to our very own Jason Alulian, CEO of Faring. Please note, it is not Faring Capital. It is Faring, period. Right? Remember that. Jake, thank you for that. So, Ed Levin was a much beloved curmudgeon, a personality that you wanted to be around, be inspired by, and learn from. And you wanted to impress Ed. If you impressed him, you had arrived. He was a longtime chamber member and very thankfully an opinionated GAC member. And GAC, for you rookies, is the glorious Governmental Affairs Committee of the Chamber of Commerce. Ed knew his stuff. Ed aspired for excellence and gave years of service to the city of West Hollywood as a member of their Historic Preservation Commission. He was also a West Hollywood resident and business owner. We miss Ed, but his honor and his memory will live on during this award, with this award. It's a bit surprising, not surprising, the Chamber chose Jason Alulian as their first recipient of the Ed Levin Award. Jason, to be honest, I did some homework, I read your resume, I even read your bio, and all I can say is slacker. Big slacker. Georgetown, Harvard, Emory. I didn't even see those schools in my aspirational college tour. So, but Jason, you and I have something in common. You went to Harvard, and I went to the University of Arizona, the Harvard of Tucson, Arizona. Jason's fingerprints are all over town. You can wipe them off if you need, but they're all there. Restaurants, retail, stunning offices, it seems you do it all. His projects are founded on meaningful community engagement, listening to concerns, and addressing community issues. Jason and Faring are community first, day in and day out. There is no better example of this than the Robertson Lane project, which I'm told is finishing up plan check and starting construction this fall. Hallelujah. Now, I know it's not your project, but if you could do something about the great hole of West Hollywood at the corner of Santa Monica and Melrose, we would love that too. So, Lake West Hollywood. Faring heard the community's desire to preserve the historic Studio One factory building, so they made the adaptive reuse of the factory the centerpiece of Robertson Lane. Its design will energize the area and engage pedestrian activity with connectivity from West Hollywood Park to the adjacent streets west of Robertson. Beautiful, beautiful. And while we love the One Hotel for all the large events, we are so excited that Robertson Lane will have the biggest barroom space in West Hollywood. Faring's attention to sustainability, true in all project, goes to the extreme in 9176 Sunset, the first all-electric Class A building on our world-famous Sunset Strip. 9176 Sunset was awarded the 2021 WeHo Public Facilities Commission Green Seedling Award, that's a lot, for innovation and sustainability, and was nominated for an Innovative Sustainability CBA last year. It will be a beautiful landmark on the Sunset Strip. Faring's first project was a mixed-use commercial project at 8900 Beverly Boulevard. The next year, they built the Harlan, which changed the landscape on Doheny with beautiful, innovatively designed townhouses. Also, exciting with their crane posed over the Rainbow District, coming out of the ground. Get it? Oh, sorry. And nearing completion is Faring's Lapeer project next door to the Kimpton Hotel. As you can see, it wasn't a hard choice to recognize Jason Alulian and Faring, period, with the first ever esteemed Ed Levin Award for Design Excellence. Please help me welcome to this stage, CEO of Faring, Jason Alulian.
We also have some certificates from all of our different assembly and senator and Congress offices, but we have Assembly members of Byrd here today.
So thank you, Genevieve. Thanks for having me. I do want to point just one little error, and that is really want to thank Senator Allen for joining with me on the funding of the log cabin. We had each agreed to put in $500,000 to get to $1 million. But it was actually the Assembly we had a little more money. So the $650 came from the Assembly budget, the $500 came from the Senate budget to get to 1.50. I wanted to thank, so first of all, an incredible event. I'm very, very proud to represent West Hollywood, where I lived myself for over 13 years, and I just live about a block on the other side of La Brea. And it's an incredible honor to represent the city of West Hollywood and the business community here. And it's with great honor that I want to congratulate Jason for sharing Ed Levin's commitment to excellence in design and flawless execution and historic preservation as you do your work in the city. It's my honor to present this certificate on behalf of the California Assembly. And I also want to recognize the entire Faring team as well for the work that they are doing, which we saw so beautifully presented just a few minutes ago. Also want to thank the WeHo Chamber. This annual event is when our community and the business leaders come together to ensure the city's future is bright. And this collaborative spirit is what moves us forward as a city, focusing on the intersection of housing and business, how to build a strong local economy that's sustainable and improving quality of life for businesses and residents in our city. So congratulations, varying congratulations to the Chamber, and want to present you with this.
Jason, you have 30 seconds. Go.
Thank you for the generous introduction, David. And Genevieve, I remember you when I was 10 years old in my dad's carpet store, and you'd always walk by laughing. So our roots.
I was 12.
Yeah. It's a real honor to receive the Ed Levin Design Excellence Award, and our entire team at Fairing, especially Jake Stevens, is so grateful for this incredible recognition. Honestly, as a Historic Preservation Commissioner, Ed voted against our projects as often as he voted for them. And I think a couple more votes against, but who's counting, right, Jennifer? But even when he disagreed with us, he strove for excellence and tried to make projects the best they could be, with the most return for the citizens of WeHo, and I truly appreciated that, and I know we all miss him very much. Ed's recent passing felt like another small end of an era in WeHo. For those of us who remember Sal Gariello and John Chase, the last 30 years of cityhood have been a special journey, and I'm excited to help write our city's next chapter alongside all of you. It's been my life's work to grow and build alongside our partners at City Hall to bring some truly transformative projects to our community. But the most important thing I've learned through it all is that no person, no business, no developer is an island. We all need our community to succeed. So when we talk about the state of the city, it is so clear that so much of West Hollywood's well-being and vitality, not to mention those hotel TOT taxes and billboard revenues. David, I saw that $151 million, that's great. We're gonna talk about lowering project fees next week. But because of all of you and your effort, I agree that the state of WeHo is strong as it's ever been. We can stay on this positive trajectory only if we work together. Our businesses need more support from our partners in government to streamline approvals and cut red tape for minor items. We need to be forward thinking about how we address challenges like affordable housing and environmental sustainability, doing so in a way that does not stall the commerce and development that our city's future depends on. So let's all leave here with a refreshed, can-do attitude of collaboration and partnership. Everyone in this room has a role to play in the success of our city, just like Ed did. And in following Ed's example, let's strive for excellence every day. I see a lot of familiar faces here. As a 40-year-old, I feel like it's almost like a lifetime achievement award. I should be 80 years old here. But I started when I was 10, so I've had a long run. But I see tenants, I see partners, I see friends, I see family friends. I see city employees like John Kehoe and Oscar going on to their next chapter. Really happy for you guys. We're gonna miss you both a lot. I know we've learned a lot from all of you guys through all the good and bad. Thank you for everything you've done for Fairing in the city. We appreciate all the staff and excited to see where the city goes in the next couple of years. Thank you.
And I know we're going to give that panel at least 30 minutes, so I apologize. All right, I'm going to start this out really quick. On your table is a small business initiative. So in 2016, the Chamber created a small business task force. It was comprised of Chamber members. It was Ed Levin, the late Ed Levin, Rick Abramson, John Adler, and David Heisey. And originally it was started with city staff, people from economic development, so it was a much bigger group, and then we kind of narrowed it down to a few. And it started with looking at fee structures, signage, parking reductions, additional hours for businesses. And then we expanded our scope and continued to work on an initiative with the smaller group. And after 3 years, it became this 40-page booklet you see on the table. The final product was so profoundly received by other places and people in other cities and bids that we applied for copyright, and we secured it in 2019. We thank Councilmember Meister for getting the ball rolling and asking staff to immediately look into our recommendations in 2019, and Mayor Schein for continuing to champion the small business initiative. Pre-pandemic, these recommendations and strategies are needed more now than ever. And I'm going to take you through literally 5 minutes, high-level overview of our small business initiative, and then Cherie Franklin, who's our GAC chair, board member, CEO of Urban Design Center, and partner in Go Global. Long title, don't add any more, Cherie. Segue into our discussion with our panel for the State of the City theme, which is city planning through the lens of small business solutions. This is very exciting and a lot to take with you at the end of the day, so please stick around. The panel discussion is not about the initiative itself, but it's really more about the broader ideas of how cities can work on establishing different ways to attract and retain small business in their communities. And the 4 panelists we picked are specific for specific different reasons. Someone from John from hospitality, we have the head of economic development, Stephen Chung, we have Eddie Navarrete, who heads up the Hospitality Independent Coalition and also has his own company by right. Who am I missing there? Where's the Jackie Rocco? Sorry, we switched around a few. I'm like doing by hat, but Jackie Rocco, who's with the city planning and has been so involved with business development as well. All right, so this conversation is going to take us forward to look at how we envision the future of small business in West Hollywood. There we go. All right, so we identified the situation, our objectives, our goals, one of which was, quote, broaden diversity of opportunities, socioeconomic equity, and sustainable growth patterns that balance business and resident interests to promote a walkable city. This objective is also in line with our Small Business Foundation mission. We broke the document into 4 segments. It was locations and configurations for small business, expansion of land use types and updating the city's zoning code, city small business programs approval, permitting and licensing, that's streamlining, baby, and chambers, small business support and initiative. I think we've been talking about streamlining for 40 years. Locations and configurations for small business. This includes, we're looking at different things like live-work units that face the alleyways and creating a pedestrian-friendly friendly walkway with small, imagine small bespoke businesses that are in the, this is not working. Can you move the slide for me, please? There you go. Okay, trying to do this fast. You're walking through, you see this little bespoke cobblestone alleyway, and you have blade signage that says there's a fudge shop down there, and you say, I didn't know there was a fudge shop down there, but I can see it, so I'm gonna go take a walk, and it creates this pedestrian activity. Shallow depth liner shops. Now, I've been told by Mr. Kehoe that we can do this already. Next slide, please. And I think the Melrose Triangle new design has liner shops. These are liner shops where you just open them up, you don't need bathrooms or parking, and you can build them in West Side, but there's not a code yet. Small business pocket retail, if you can slide. Smaller businesses are really seeking 500 to 1,500 square feet of space. These spaces are so large, they can't afford the rents. We're looking at smaller, combined type of cut-up businesses, but for smaller, unique boutique businesses, and also the larger ones for shared marketplaces, like the new food marketplaces or different businesses in one space. The next item was expansion of land use types and updating the city zoning code. This is really identifying new creative types. Maybe it's the drink and paint class, or maybe it's some of the other things we don't have a code for that people are doing, or how do we take venues like the music concert venues, where during COVID the music organizations would talk about how do we create flexibility in use of the venues, becoming like we did with COVID, a lot of you became a bottega, or working on to-go orders only, but this would look at how can a music venue, concert hall maybe become a gallery, like an art exhibit one night, maybe it becomes where a celebrity chef has a dinner. So looking at how we can do this. And then finally, and also then the pop-ups. Did I do that yet? Where am I? Oh no, gap and cluster business. So this is also where can we need to revamp the signing ordinance as well. That's one. I'm probably all over the place on this now. The gap businesses, what's missing on your corner when you walk down to your corner market? What is the neighborhood serving businesses we need? Are we missing a dry cleaners? Probably not. We have like 40 in town, but are we missing a shoe repair? Are we missing something that you need for professional services? And then pop-up businesses are really great. These are even more than ever now. Retail is really going into less brick and mortar, more online, and then doing pop-ups to launch new brands. And these are really exciting in West Hollywood. As Greg knows, in the design district, they're a great source of more pedestrians, more of our audience, more of the people we want in West Hollywood. And I know the Visitors Bureau loves them as well. We love these pop-ups. I also just want to say the Visitors Bureau has a creator series that's amazing. Jeff Morris and his team and Tom created, so check that out. So pop-up businesses, they're also great revenue for landlords who can't rent the space and they want to do, but we need to make it easier to do pop-ups in West Hollywood. The third is city small business programs, approvals, permitting, licensing. Like I said, this is streamlining again, maybe a concierge service, revisiting maybe permits in a day in West Hollywood, don't laugh. It's been done in other cities. Scalable fee structures. Why do we have to have fees that are 10,000 square feet above or below? Why can't we have it based on the size or the intensity of use? 1,500 spaces, 500 spaces, etc., 500 square feet, etc. I mean, 1,500 feet, whatever. Okay, I'm trying to go so fast. All right, and the final section is chamber small business support and incentives, which we already do, but this also is looking at promoting resident businesses, and it ties in with our foundation mission again of helping LGBTQ and BIPOC entrepreneurs open businesses, seek higher office, seek higher executive levels, and then home-based business. If pre-COVID we had 1,300 home business licenses, there probably were double. There's probably way more after COVID, where we have so many people that left their jobs, became their own entrepreneurs and started businesses, and then we have such a remote working component now for people working out of their homes for their business. So that's the small business initiative. And I encourage you to take the spiral notebook that's on the table. It's getting pretty dated and we're going to need to update it because, so we're working with our city partners and members to really focus on the small business task force again, on what can we recommend right now to the city, like changes in the sign ordinance and other things to take care of. All right, we're going to get into this panel now, and I'm going to bring up Cherie Franklin. Cherie Franklin, as I said, founder and CEO of Go Global, and she's our moderator today. I'm going to bring up our panelists, Jackie Rocco, City Deputy Manager, Stephen Chung, CEO, President CEO, LAEDC, and also I didn't know that World Trade Center. All right, next slide. Okay, Eddie Navarrete and John Terzian, come on up.
Okay, I think I'm sitting in a high chair here. Thank you so much. We have had a wonderful discussion about what do we do to make sure that West Hollywood is making art happen, as it says, making business happen and making innovation happen. And so we're going to have an open conversation about that. I want to thank Mayor Shine for giving us the space and the call to action. Thank you to council members Erickson, Byers, Heilman, and Meister for your leadership and helping implement this, as well as the team in West Hollywood. I love working with West Hollywood. I originally came here to work with my partner Danny Shaker on cannabis, but I think I fell in love with Jen, and we just have great conversations together, so thank you, Jen. So we're gonna have that conversation today. Before we start, I wore my drag shoes in honor of Pride, so I'm gonna click them together, and we're gonna all close our eyes. We're gonna imagine, close your eyes, and imagine what you want the city of West Hollywood to be, all the activities that'll happen here, the businesses, the innovation, the people. Just imagine those things. And imagine us working together, as Jason said. Thank you, Jason. That was beautiful. That's exactly what we need to do. And imagine how we are going to work with each other to make it happen and participate. So that's what we want to see happen. So let's open up the conversation. The framework for some of the things that we need to do and how do we set a framework for solving the issues as we go forward. So we'll start with our Jackie Rocco and just have an open conversation.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with you. Thank you, Jen, and all the members of the Chamber for inviting me to participate here and be part of this very important dialogue. I think that all of us at this particular point, really are looking at, we've come through COVID, which has been so devastating for so many businesses and so impactful, but we are now looking ahead. We're looking at, how do we get past this, difficult time that the businesses have gone through, and how do we collaborate as city partners, as all of our partners here with the Chamber, with all of you in this community that gives so much, and look at, what can we do better? What can, rather than focusing on what hasn't been working in the past, because some of those things are no longer relevant. So we need to look at what is this new normal? What is this vision for this wonderful city that we all love so much will look like, and how do we make the necessary changes, the adaptations, provide flexibility, and look at also the value that our code provides, because municipal codes, even though sometimes can be frustrating, provide stability and predictability. So we need to have that framework, but how do we adapt it to these new conditions, these new requirements that the new economy presents for us today?
Thank you. So we're going to, again, create a framework. We want everybody to participate. We have the Chamber. The city has meetings that it has quarterly to be able to get together and solve a lot of things. But I want to go to Stephen Chang because he might have to leave to business with the governor's office. And I think you read in his bio that not only is he leading our LA EDC, which helps all of the cities in our 88 cities here in LA County, but the world trade. So that gives us a broader perspective. West Hollywood is an island, but not unto itself. And so could you just give us a framework for how West Hollywood fits into this economy and some of the solutions we should be looking towards?
Sure. Well, just grabbing here. Good to see everybody. Thanks for having me again. Stephen Chung with the Los Angeles County Economic Development Corporation. Stepping back a little bit, LADC was created by the LA County Board of Supervisors 42 years ago. It's a public-private partnership before that was a thing. And so our job is to build industries here and make sure that the businesses are thriving. About 20-something years ago, we acquired the World Trade Center Los Angeles because we see this as such an international region. And a lot of times when we look at Los Angeles, we think of ourselves as a small town. The world doesn't think so. They're all coming here. Setting the stage a little bit, I don't know whether you guys know this, but Los Angeles County is home to the world's 3rd largest concert corps, which means that there are about 107 countries represented here. Outside of New York and Hong Kong, we have more consulates here, which means we can access the world immediately without having to travel anywhere else. With 10 million people living here, with 80 different cities, with over 100 incorporated regions, our GDP during COVID reached $860 billion. So if we were a country, LA County alone, we would be the 19th largest economy in the world. Our economy is larger than Belgium or Saudi Arabia and Norway. We're not a city. It's not even a small country, we're a major country. And the reason for that is because of our diverse industries, aerospace and defense, digital media entertainment in general, but manufacturing. People forget that we're one of the largest manufacturing centers in the world. All that said is that basically the world is looking to us right now. And yes, we did face a lot of devastation. I don't want to basically glance past it and not look at what happened before. Most folks didn't realize that in the first 2 months of COVID, LA County lost 780,000 jobs in 2 months. I'm gonna sit with that for a second. 780,000 jobs. That's the size of major US cities. And so as we're looking in the future, we're seeing a lot of investments coming from our state governments, coming from the federal government, especially with the Inflation Reduction Act, the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. About $41 billion in formula funding will be coming to California and to Los Angeles region without us doing much. If we compete, we can actually get that number to over $100 billion coming into Los Angeles within the next 5 years. However, it's not coming to us if we don't organize ourselves as a region. We've already seen the Economic Development Administration and other federal agencies are sending some of these competitive dollars to other regions like Fresno, because they're able to coordinate their efforts and fight together. Here, sometimes we're saying, well, Los Angeles is over here, but Pomona is over there, Santa Clarita is over there. To the international, to the federal government, they don't care. They want us to work together as a region. So as these dollars are coming in, there's a call to action as well as for us to work together as Angelinos so that we can basically fight for a fair share of dollars so that we can continue to thrive. So there's 780,000 jobs that we lost that took 2.5 years to gain back. And our economy is completely transformed at this point. So how do we make sure that we're able to see ourselves, especially in West Hollywood? I was the resident of West Hollywood for about 10 years myself. So knowing the power of West Hollywood, how do we set that example for the rest of the various cities around the region to work together to make sure, again, we get a fair share?
Thank you so much, Stephen. And so, Eddie, when we had our, yes, definitely. And one of the good things about LAEDC is we can partner with them to make sure that we have our finger on the pulse. So I know, Jackie, you're thinking through ways that that could happen. Eddie, when we were talking, you talked about the humanity and how we had to agree to work together. You remind me a lot of David, our chair. He makes us all feel good about being here. And that seems as something that you were talking about that's very, very important. And can you share some of those comments?
Yes, and thank you all for having me here. It's really great to be here amongst all the distinguished people that were shown today. Again, I have a business called Epi Design and Consulting. I help restaurants get their businesses open. So primarily I do architectural work, land use work, alcohol licensing work, kitchen design work. So I have that kind of insight in departments and how they work or kind of don't work together. Also executive director of the Independent Hospitality Coalition. And I just want to also, just before I answer that question, I want to talk about what Stephen said about the job loss during COVID. And correct me if I'm wrong here, but a majority of those jobs were in our food service industry. And the food service industry has been very, as we like to use the term, resilient. But I think moving forward, being able to have that community be able to explore and build on that resiliency could be a great way forward and for us to get to where we want to go and get some of those jobs and improve on some of those jobs. But going back to the humanity, I feel like during COVID we lost a lot of that human connection, a lot of that how do we do things and being able to talk to a human being on how we get the thing done. Restaurant folks are very passion driven in how they do their businesses, and oftentimes they run into businesses. And John, I don't think we've ever met, but not all restaurant people are the same, but they come in very different shapes and sizes, but they are passion driven, and sometimes they might not know the business as well as they could. But they need to have a little bit more hand-holding. They need to have a little bit of that space. They need to have a little bit of that interaction. They need to know what the resources are, and I feel like giving them a checklist isn't something that's really productive anymore or ever really was. And so I feel like, knowing these numbers just getting to know Stephen has been really great for me, and I can't wait to have future discussions with you and how we can partner. But I just feel like if we're able to have more important discussions like this with the folks that we're trying to preserve and that we're trying to move forward, then I feel like we can also have a lot more productivity. But they have to be in the room, and the right people have to be in the room. The Stevens have to be in the room. The departments have to be in the room. I think that would be a great step forward. The health department has to be in the room.
Absolutely. So that's a collaborative that we want to help make sure we're bringing together. Now, John, I think everybody in here can plan their entire social life around getting to one of your restaurants.
Hopefully.
And you seem to have the secret sauce, both literally and figuratively. Tell us a little bit about, what's working for you here in West Hollywood and how the city can make sure they amplify those benefits.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you for having me all. I think I kind of view myself as a self-appointed ambassador to West Hollywood around the world, because I really view myself as starting my company as the H-Wood Group, and I really feel like we kind of took off when we made a concerted effort about 15 years ago to move everything that we were doing, restaurants, lounges, clubs, outside of anywhere else, and only start in West Hollywood. Reason we did that was because West Hollywood acted and behaved like a small city that cared with a big voice, and they cared deeply about business owners and creatives and kind of everything that I embody. I look businessy now, but I'm a creative and artist at heart. And so I think that's what I loved about it. And I think we're at a really, for us and our company, we want to be able to have that personal touch. I only do places now where I have a direct personal relationship with the landlords. Jason here that everyone's talking about. There's a reason everyone's talking about it. Around the world we have several places, and I point to my relationship with Jason at one of my places, for example. We'll talk about rent later, but it's a really key thing because to your point, most restaurant owners, and now I think we have a lot of experience, but most aren't too in tune with what's going on with business and the checklist. And so I think the key to us holding on to West Hollywood being this key city is having that personal touch and having that local business business relationships basically, but on a personal level, because no other city is doing it quite like West Hollywood has been and can keep continuing to do.
Absolutely. So before you leave us, John, you talked a little bit about talent and how important that is, that we have the best people Stephen. You talked a little bit about talent, those things that you talked about, John, having best restaurants and hospitality, and even in the city, having the best talent. What are some of the best practices we need to think about here in West Hollywood, and some of the emerging support systems that West Hollywood can look to make sure the talent's at the table?
Again, I think West Hollywood is leading the way in so many different ways, and folks are looking to see what West Hollywood is doing to emulate that. One of the things I would encourage to see if West Hollywood work more closely with the community college district throughout the entire region. The Los Angeles Regional Consortium has 19 community colleges, and stepping back a little bit again, when we look at Los Angeles, we have 118 higher education institutions. We produce such a diverse type of talent pool that's very attractive to the rest of the world to really come here. But sometimes the folks that were going through those training programs, when they graduate, they're missing a certificate, they're missing a degree, and so they can actually get the jobs that they were preparing for. So they need to engage with employers. And another thing we found is that we did a study for the County of Los Angeles during COVID, and the same report that found about the 780,000 jobs we lost, we also found that 94% of all LA County companies have less than 20 employees. 94%. 87% actually have less than 9 employees. So we're a small business region, and they employ for about half of the employees here throughout this entire region. However, if you look at most of the programs, especially the state programs that are coming through to fund talent development, it's if you hire 250 people or more, then we'll create a program for you. Is there any way the city of Hollywood can work together with the small businesses to pull them together? If you have 10 companies hiring 25 people each, then you have that critical mass that's able to basically start creating these programs that will be funded by some of these resources that are being provided by the state or by the federal government. So there are a lot of programs that just need to be coordinated, and I think one of the best practices is to make sure that you're able to tap into the existing programs that already have funding.
And before you leave us, Stephen, give us 5 marching orders. What do you think the city, you work with all the cities here in LA County, give us 5 marching orders.
Blueprint, and planning. So right now, we have to look at the future, because I think a lot of folks, we've been responding. 2008 happened, we knew that economic crisis was going to happen over and over again. Economic recessions are cyclical. So whether it's 5 years, whether it's 25 years, whether it's 50 years, it's going to come back. But when COVID hit us, yes, it's devastating, but we were completely flabbergasted in terms of what we need to do, and we have to start that process all over again. How do we make sure that the next crisis that comes, whether it's a wildfire, whether it's another drought, whatever it is, that we're able to respond to it very quickly? And I think these blueprint, these planning process are going to be in place. So that process, I was glad to hear Jen talk about it a little bit, and the mayor was mentioning as well, there's going to be a plan moving forward. So that plan also has to be connected with a larger regional plan, as I was mentioning. There are going to be a lot of resources. One additional thing I want to highlight is that if the plans are too general, just basically being business friendly is not enough. It has to be industry specific. How do we work with the restaurants? How do we work with hospitality? To the hardest hit industry during COVID. And we're still recovering from it right now because international travel is not coming back. So now we start planning for the future opportunity. I'm looking at the various planning blueprint, right? So We're getting ready for the Olympics and Paralympic Games, which is great. I'm not even looking at that anymore. I'm not looking at 2028, I'm looking at 2039. Let me give you the reason why. We just had the US Open, the golf championship here in LA. That's a pretty big deal. We work coordinated to make sure that we're able to get these international visitors to come here to spend more money here. We had the Super Bowl. People are focusing Englewood. Well, a lot of the parties, a lot of the events were happening right here in West Hollywood. Did you know the Women's US Open will be coming in 2024, FIFA World Cup 2026, WrestleMania we just had. By the way, that's not a sporting event, I was told, it's more entertainment. So but 2031, we're competing for the World Rugby Championship. Rugby in Los Angeles. 2032 is a Women's Rugby Championship. 2039 is the US Open coming back to Los Angeles again. Breeders' Cup is going to be this year. We're going to be the sports entertainment capital of the United States, if not the world, for the next 2 decades. Don't forget, when they're not here, we also have the Lakers, the Clippers, the Dodgers, the Sparks, Angel City, LA Football Club, the Rams, Chargers, you name it. This is not including UCLA and USC. And then when they're not playing, Taylor Swift, BTS, they're selling out the concerts, right? And when they're not doing that, the stadiums are now being filled with esports and gaming competition. So we have the content, we have the material, but the thing is, we're always looking, well, that's over at Pasadena and the Rose Bowl, or that's over. No, we're one region. If we coordinate, we make sure that those business opportunities, those contracting opportunities, and by the way, we just learned during the Olympic and Paralympic Games, they will be issuing close to 100,000 contracts. Are you guys prepared to get some of those contracts? We're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars that will be flowing through. Are you guys ready to bid for those contracts? Have you registered as a small business? Have you registered as a minority-owned businesses so that you can qualify for some of these great opportunities? That's a blueprint. Those are the blueprints and the planning I'm talking about.
Excellent. Thank you, Stephen J. And thank you. Please, thank you for coming. We look forward to working with you in partnership. And tell the governor we said hello. Thank you. Thank you. So now we're going to bring it home to West Hollywood, all of those points that Stephen shared with us. So Jackie, we've talked about it. You have a big job. How do we shape that? Taking Jen's small business initiative and putting it into action, looking at our planning elements and the team that we have at West Hollywood. What are some of the things we can do? And then we'll see how our businesses here, what they think about it, and some solutions that you would have as well.
One of the things that we've done is, looking at this small business initiative, and Jen, I have the proof here. We've looked through every section of it, and we've taken a look at all of these recommendations. And I want to thank our planning team, John and Jennifer, our economic development team, Laura, Taylor, and Derek. They took each one of these recommendations and they reviewed them thoroughly. Abrik Abramson, our city architect, to see, where are the gaps? What is happening here? What do we need to look at? Where are, opportunities to do things now? To, focus on that. And then in partnership with and in connection with the economic study that Mayor Shine discussed earlier, and David and, our economic development team here, is looking at what are the opportunities? Where are the gaps? Where are the areas for opportunities as we evaluate where the growth of industries will be? Because as Stephen mentioned, we're not just an island here unto our own. We're part of a broader region. So when we think of West Hollywood, we need to think of how do we fit into this broader region where all of these other activities are taking place. Because all of you here know, for example, the Oscars and the Grammys and Emmys may happen in our neighboring city, but where does all the party happen? Here in West Hollywood, and that's an example. The same with sporting events. We don't have large sports venues here, but again, when these major annual events are happening, they may happen next door, they may happen in Inglewood, and close by, but there are opportunities here for our hotels, for our restaurants, for our nightclubs. So how do we bring those elements together? So that's really important as we look at those opportunities that are emerging now in this new world order that we are talking about. And in terms of the code and the flexibility and where we go from here, looking at where are those growth opportunities, these changing opportunities. We know, all of us, that during COVID, used these apps to have food delivered to our homes. People think they're coming from your local restaurant. Well, guess what? Most of it isn't. It's coming from ghost kitchens and other opportunities that have emerged as part of the pandemic that are also in response to, higher rents and the cost of brick and mortar. So just like with retail, where you now have a smaller footprint for retail, because, look, Amazon is a perfect example. What you order isn't coming from next door. It may be coming from, a fulfillment center. So all of these trends that have emerged as part of e-commerce, as part of these conditions that emerged during the pandemic, where a lot of businesses, all of you that have been creative and had to pivot quickly and had to be creative with how to serve, the demanding needs of, customers throughout the region. These are the things that we can partner with all of you, and as we get the results of this economic study, to identify where those gaps are and what we as a city need to do to facilitate these new opportunities, these new business models that are really the new normal. Rather than just sort of looking back at what wasn't working, we need to look forward. We need to look ahead at the opportunities for growth and where we need to make changes. And as we work with our departments throughout the city, with the business community, our business development team will be instituting the brokers roundtable meetings that brought together, commercial real estate brokers that have the finger on the pulse. They know when people are looking to locate in our city, what are they looking for? And if they can't find exactly what's here, what's missing or what's preventing them from being here? Because those are the opportunities for our city to work together with the business community to identify those gaps and be forward thinking and flexible in the way that we address those needs.
We're going to put all this in a checklist of things to do and track it through all of the different opportunities from GAC to the meetings that the city has. So Eddie and John, you're here, you're conducting business every day, you're impacted by the policies of planning, and you heard what Stephen said, we've got to get ready. So what are your solutions, and what would you suggest that we do here in the city of West Hollywood?
Thank you. Well, I mentioned resiliency, and I think that's connected, because I feel like policy just cannot keep up with the pace of the way that small businesses are growing. We have axe throwing. I got called about a cat cafe that just can't be done. You mentioned pop-ups. It can't be done with the health department, the way that their policies are. So how do we change and how do we evolve with that? I feel like having the discussions with the departments that are on a day-to-day faced with those challenges, and also having the discussions with the people that are helping those businesses get through those policies. So the architects and the designers and maybe the kitchen people, obviously the health department, they need to be part of those discussions in order for us to tackle some of the fire life safety issues, the infrastructure issues, which is a huge problem for us as any developer, but also for the small business community. We just don't have enough power. A lot of getting an electrical upgrade takes a year to 2 years sometimes, which is not, it's not appropriate for a small business to have to go through. One of the biggest challenges for any restaurant, and John, you can agree here or not, is startup costs. And I think that can really drive the success of any business. And so if we can reduce that timeline by reducing the amount of applications that just may not be relevant anymore. For things that are getting approved anyways, do we really have to look at those things the same way as we used to? Maybe we can really take a step back and reevaluate with the data that's available, or create that data on seeing what's relevant and what's not anymore, and really trying to give these guys a boost when they start up.
Thank you, Eddie. John, bring us home. Tell us what we have to do.
Yeah, to me, it's actually really simple. So we're all talking, it comes down to one thing, which is communication. And we're all talking up here about just specifically, let's say, the restaurant industry being a key entity here. And there really isn't a go-to. Like, I'm up here, Genevieve got me involved, and I'm so thankful. I'm on a text chain with, I think, probably 70 restaurant owners in the area, and none of them have any clue what's going on. I'm their news resource, which is not a great situation. But in all honesty, create a small board of not just restaurant owners, a handful of the business owners, but have it be people that care. 7, 8 of them, and have a direct connection with the city that is going through these things. Because while we all talk about wanting to be progressive in this pro-business or attracting people here and stuff, the moves that have been made don't seem to pro-business, and that's not a. I don't think that's a fair reflection of how West Hollywood is or wanting to be, but it doesn't seem to be trending in the right way in that regard and I'm speaking on behalf of a lot of people. We just texted before this, so. But and I think that's a key thing, and it's like I said, it can easily be fixed. You're touching on things like permits and stuff. This is not hearsay, this is me. I'm building a new restaurant. I was told it's 9 months minimum now to get a permit in West Hollywood. When I started in West Hollywood, it was 2-3 months. It shouldn't be a time frame. Just have it be the proper, all the proper paperwork, have all the right things. But when I asked why it's 9 months, I was given that's just what it is now. And so to me, that's not what West Hollywood should be. And I think that's some things that we need to kind of get back to.
To that point, and John, because that is really critically important, there are some of the dynamics that are also influencing or impacting the length of time to get through things is that, we work with partnering agencies outside of our city. Like, that I'm looking at Jake. You have to go to SCE, you have to go to LA County Fire Department, LA County Public Works, LA DWP, Beverly Hills Water. There are a lot of partner agencies that are part of that permitting process. And one of the things that a lot of times applicants experience is that policies are at odds with what the city policies are. The good news is that I want to share with you is that Supervisor Horvath has been really helpful. We've reached out to her, our planning and UDAS, our city architect divisions, have reached out to her office for assistance because as a county supervisor, she has also insights into all of these agencies that are countywide and can help us address some of these issues that, we have our policies in West Hollywood and we share that with an applicant, and then they go to one of these agencies and they're like, no, you can't do that. And it's like a ping pong. I mean, and that's what adds to the length of time, the frustration that people experience. So, her ability to help us through this process to identify where are these sticking points, where are we odds and in conflict with policies, because these policies have to work together. They can't be in opposition to each other. So that adds to the process, and we are addressing that. We are also in the middle of implementing a major permitting system that will be way more modern than what we have in place right now, with the ability for applicants to log on to a portal and track the progress of their permits. So that's going to help a lot as well, having that technology in place. It's a cross-functional, cross-departmental initiative that includes all of the departments that are tied together in the permitting process so that there's more transparency into that process. And while, you mentioned that checklists and, samples are not the only solution, and I agree, but we are developing more. Okay. I have to wrap it up. But anyway, these are the things that, we are working with. Like I said, we have our economic development team. Reach out to us at the city. Before you get too far into anything, come and see us so we can help you start up, get started on the right footing so you don't get too far into the process and then get frustrated. Thank you.
Can I just say just really fast, I know we have to run, but the idea of just kind of maybe also not throwing money at it all the time, but also just doing more with less. And just reducing the amount of requirements and reducing the amount of what actually requires a permit can lessen the burden on the department so they can do a more successful job. I feel like it's important.
Thank you. So there you have it, Mayor Shine and David and Jim. We're starting our blueprint. All of you are part of it. Get involved. And as Jackie said, come and see her. We're going to solve it together. Thank you.
I took a break for a little bit.